What is up, fellas, and the 2 or 3 ladies that watch my channel? Carter here, how you doing? I'm doing pretty good. It's kind of weird having a conversation with myself, but not, you know. Here I have the Cold Steel Holdout 2 that I'm going to do a little bit of a closer look video with today. I don't know if I'd call it a review. I don't like that term, but we're going to take a look at it. We're going to talk about it. I've also got my paramilitary 2 for comparison for various aspects. First of all, Cold Steel. I know some of you newer guys might say, wow, I didn't think I'd ever see Cold Steel on your channel, Carter. Well, I've had my fair share of Cold Steel. I've had a Espada, the old school bling ones, large Espada. I've had the Spartan. I've had a Voyager, and I've had a Recon 1. I've had a Kobun. Maybe 1 or 2 more on top of that, and of course this one. I haven't had one in a while just because nothing's really spoke to me. I love Cold Steel's designs, their price point. You know, that the triad lock is just, you know, it's amazing. If you know, and some people find this surprising on my channel. They will ask me, you know, I'll talk about how I like a frame lock or whatever, and then they'll come at me with, you know, some points about the triad lock, you know, trying to disprove me and say, see, the triad lock's better. And I'll just come back and say, yeah, I think the triad lock is the strongest lock commercially available. Other than the Balisong, that doesn't really count. That's kind of cheating. But yeah, no, absolutely. I give the triad lock, you know, when it's fully engaged, I give it hands down the strongest lock there is. I mean, it's a genius design. It's not my favorite lock. You know, just because it's the strongest doesn't necessarily mean it has to be my favorite. I actually like frame locks, but not because they're necessarily the strongest. But yeah, the triad lock is a huge achievement in the knife world. Cold Steel really nailed it with that one. I think Andrew Demko, who's a custom knife maker, came up with that design. Andrew also collaborated to produce with Cold Steel some of his designs, some of his custom designs, which I do have to give a knock onto, or deduct a point to Cold Steel for that one, because I don't think they've given Andrew his fair share of acknowledgement. You know, like, I believe the American Lawman is basically a production version of one of his customs, and, you know, it should be called something similar to his custom design, and his name should be mentioned, and they don't do that. They kind of make it sound like it's all Cold Steel's design. But anyways, wow, I had no intention to talk about Andrew Demko. But anyways, he's the one that came up with the triad lock. Genius design. But I just, you know, I haven't really, they haven't had anything that really sparked my interest until this came along. There's been a few that I kind of wanted to get. I was, you know, I've almost picked up another Voyager like 2 or 3 times, and I just never quite do it. And I'd like to get an American Lawman. I've never owned one of those, but I'm just so sick of that black coating. I hate it. Hate that stuff. And, you know, yeah, I could buy it and then send it off to get it taken off, or figure out how to do it myself, but I just haven't wanted to put the work into it. But when I saw this, I just really like this. This thing is a beast. I mean, it's just gnarly. Let's talk about some specs here. So this is the medium size, basically. It's got a 4-inch blade overall, about 9 inches. So you can see how it's larger than the paramilitary 2 by quite a bit. The blade length is about a 1/4 inch longer, and then without that choil you get even more cutting length than that, because here's the cutting length, so almost an inch, like 3/4 of an inch more. Well, actually cutting length is right here, so yeah, about half an inch or so more cutting length. Full flat ground, actually just like the paramilitary 2. Nice kind of leaf shape. Actually kind of Spyderco-y, really. No, I didn't even notice this, but yeah, if you put a hole right here, you'd be like, oh man, that's a total Spyderco design right there. But yeah, full flat grind, gets nice and thin, really good slicer. Love that satin finish. You don't see a lot of cold steels with satin finish anymore. It's either stonewash or got that black Teflon coating. G10 handles, solid G10, no liners, which is important. Lock back, triad lock, steel lock back there. Steel pocket clip. Really good deep carry. This is perfect for me. This is where I like it. I don't like those ultra deep carry where it literally, you know, completely buries in your pocket, but I also don't like a ton sticking out. So I really like about right here. I think yeah, it's more or less on par with the paramilitary. This might have a little bit more sticking out. Very light. That's one of the very impressive things with this blade. Very light. It's only a tad bit heavier than the paramilitary 2, and yet it's actually, you know, a little bit bigger. And that's because of the just the solid G10 liners, or scales with no liners in there. G10, and also the cutout holes right here really lighten it up. Nice standard pivot. You've got Torx body screws, kind of standard pocket clip design. Very functional, you know, been out there a while. This kind of style here, three screws holding it on, that's good. You've got some non-functional jimping up here. Well, maybe slightly functional. Not really all that good though. And then you've actually got a little bit of even, you know, this is actually slightly functional down here, in case you wanted to choke up like this. Otherwise, your normal grip is going to be back here. You've got this little cutout here that kind of allows your finger to grab in there. And you may look at this and say that you wouldn't be able to get a good purchase on it just because it's not very contoured for the hand, but it's just so grippy. I mean, they've got this cold steel uses this ultra grippy G10. In fact, I think it's the same stuff that Strider uses. It looks like the exact same pattern on there. Yeah, actually, now that I think about it, I think that's the same stuff that Strider uses. Nice slim design. I really like that. I like how slim it is. It fits in your pocket very, very well. Let's see if this were to fail, if it would close on your finger. Pretty dang close. It probably would. You'd probably get cut unless you were up here. I mean, it does kind of have this relief, not relief, but ricasso area right there that would protect you if you were kind of up close. But you know, with the triad lock, you don't have too much to worry about it. I really want to test the triad lock with some mud and gunk, because I'm really curious to see how well it would lock up with any sort of debris in there. I'm thinking it wouldn't do that well, and I don't think it would take all that much debris to make it not. Because the thing about the triad lock is either it's engaged or it's not. Liner locks and frame locks, they can be partially engaged and still function. Lockbacks, if this, you know, if it stops right here, this is nothing. It's either 100% or not at all, it seems like. But yeah, I'd like to test that. One thing to be cautious about with this knife, well, I don't know about cautious, but this hole right here, you can see that the edge of the blade is right there. My fingers are just barely too fat to fit in there. But if I had smaller fingers, you could definitely get your finger enough in there that the meat would get sliced up. Or if you have kids, or you know, just smaller fingers. So definitely something to think about. I really would have liked to have seen this without this last hole right there. Or maybe with, I was thinking what would look really cool is if I sent this to Tough Thumbs to get some blue anodized titanium liners put in there. So you'd see the anodized blue through these holes here. That would just look sweet. Action on here is your typical triad lock. It's rather stiff, but not ridiculous. My unboxing, it needed to be broken. It's doing much better now. But of course, you know, you want that positive opening. And the detent, of course, is insane. I mean, I don't know if I could flick this open if I was standing up and give it my all. It is completely ambidextrous. You can put the pocket clip on this side, throw it into your left-hand pocket. You can use the thumb stud left-handed as it is. It's a little tricky though, because this side is a lot smaller. But what you just do is just unscrew this and flip it, and you'll be good to go. So yeah, really cool knife. This thing is just, I mean, this is perfect for piercing as well as slicing. Just an awesome awesome, gnarly looking blade. Hold out 2.